Joe Rogan vs. Dr. Octopus, the tentacle battle for sanity. The internet was an unholy place that day, deep within its darkest corners where the most corrupted minds festered. Dr. Octopus was undergoing a transformation. Once a brilliant scientist and arch nemesis of Spider-Man, he had now fallen into the ultimate trap: extreme tentacle hentai addiction. His lab, once filled with experiments and groundbreaking tech, was now a cavernous mess of computer screens, playing endless loops of questionable anime content. His arms, once marvels of mechanical engineering, now swayed and twitched uncontrollably as he tried to rewind yet another series of hentai tentacles that should never have existed. Yes, the tentacles. The power, he muttered to himself, his face glowing with the pale light of his screens. This is it. This is my true destiny. Forget world domination. Forget Spider-Man. This is where the real power lies. But just as he was about to reach the pinnacle of his depravity, something incredible happened. A portal opened above him, and from the swirling vortex descended none other than Joe Rogan, the anti-hentai crusader, the man who could lift a boulder and break the internet with a single podcast episode. He had heard the whispers on the wind. His mind, clear, focused, told him that the tentacles of the world were spiraling out of control. And it was time to stop it, one hentai addict at a time. Joe landed in Dr. Octopus's lair with the precision of someone who had never skipped leg day. He was wearing only his iconic towel, his muscles rippling in the dim light, like a man who had fought and conquered all distractions. Dr. Octopus? Joe boomed, his voice booming through the walls like a gravitational wave. You're done. The hentai has infected you. It's taken your soul, and it's time for you to wake up. Dr. Octopus, in the midst of his tentacle-induced nirvana, didn't even look up from his screen. Joe Rogan, you wouldn't understand, he sneered. The hentai, it's the ultimate form of connection. It's art. It's transcendent. I've unlocked the highest form of pleasure. Joe rolled his eyes. He wasn't having it. Bro, this is what happens when you live in your mom's basement and get your dopamine hits from pixels instead of real life. You've been mind-freaked. You think these digital tentacles are power? I'll show you real power. With a swift movement, Joe hurled a kettlebell into the air, catching it like it was a second brain, and tossed it directly into one of Dr. Octopus's computer screens, cracking it in half like a watermelon at a barbecue. The hentai videos paused mid-scene, and Dr. Octopus gasped. You can't do this! You don't understand! These tentacles, they are my friends. They are my future. Dr. Octopus shouted, his eyes wild with desperation. He flailed his mechanical arms, trying to summon more tentacle-filled streams to his screen. Joe shook his head in disbelief. Do you hear yourself? You've become the internet's version of a lost cause. I've had enough. Cold plunge, protein shakes. You want real strength, or do you want to stay lost in hentai oblivion? Dr. Octopus twitched. No, the hentai has unlocked a power beyond your wildest comprehension. You cannot stop me. Joe grinned, his eyes narrowing in determination. Watch me. With the speed of a caffeine-fueled cheetah, Joe leapt into action. His towel flapping heroically behind him like a cape, he dodged every single one of Dr. Octopus's tentacle strikes. Each aimed with such precision, it could only be the product of a hentai-induced frenzy. Joe grabbed one of Octopus's mechanical arms, spun around, and used it as a boomerang to knock over a massive stack of hentai manga books in the corner. They collapsed in a heap, falling like a house of cards. Dr. Octopus's arms flailed around helplessly. I can't stop it! The tentacles are in control! They're in my mind, Joe! They're everywhere! Joe didn't even flinch. Yeah, they're everywhere, all right? But you know what? You're missing the point. This isn't control, bro. This is addiction, a cheap high. It's like a broken vending machine that gives you nothing but empty calories. With a swift kick, Joe sent another one of Dr. Octopus's hentai-infused tentacles flying across the room, as if it were a lifetime subscription to bad decisions. Listen, Dr. Octopus, Joe said calmly, kneeling down to look him in the eye. The world's a big place. You can't just sit here, wrapped up in pixels and anime fantasies. You need real human connection. Maybe go outside. Maybe hit a yoga class or something. But this? He gestured to the hentai abyss around them. This is never going to give you what you need. You're stuck in a cycle, a digital void. Dr. Octopus hesitated. The words seemed to cut through his hentai-filled fog, like a clear stream cutting through a wasteland. Maybe. Maybe Joe was right. Maybe. Maybe I have been living in a fantasy. Maybe I've let these tentacles take over my life. Dr. Octopus muttered, the weight of the realization beginning to sink in. Joe gave him a late man. You can step out of the abyss. You can find something real. With a final arm swipe, Joe hit the cancel subscription button on Dr. Octopus's hentai account, ending the chaos with a single click. Dr. Octopus stood there, the world finally coming back into focus. No more tentacles, no more hentai. Maybe, just maybe, it was time for him to find his real purpose. And with that, Joe Rogan turned on his heel, giving one last look at the lair as he walked out. Go get a cold plunge, bro, Joe said over his shoulder, and the tentacles were no more.